So the first question is I guess, kind of housekeeping. I know when you first showed up, you kind of inherited a lot of terminology like striker and raider and whatnot. Are there going to be any changes, back to what you were using before, or are you going to keep everything pretty much the same?
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. No, in terms of the terminology piece, that stuff's set. That's here. That's what the guys know. To me, it'd be crazy to try to go backwards with anything along those. We're going to continue to build this thing moving forward to be an extremely aggressive defense that is going to be a nightmare for people to prepare for. So we don't envision going anything backwards terminology. We envision just continue to build on what's been set by Coach Newberry here.
I know being a defensive coordinator and running a defense at an option school can be a little bit tricky, just because in the spring and the fall, when you're doing one goods versus goods, you're not playing an offense that you typically see. Given that we don't know exactly what the offense is going to look like going forward, is there anything that you would hope to see that would kind of help you prepare more for what you would typically see in an American Athletic Conference schedule?
I think that's a great question. When I first got into coaching defense linebackers in sort of this option world, when I went to Kennesaw and was working with Coach Newberry there, that was one of my initial concerns was, how are we going to be able to get prepared, when we go up against traditional 10, 11, 12 personnel teams. But I tell you, what you get going against those guys every day is extremely beneficial, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, to go out there every single day, you've got to play with great discipline, great technique. You've got to play extremely physical. You put an emphasis on block destruction, consistently doing your job, being part of 111th. Because if not, when you're going up against an option team, those things can pop in practice and you look foolish. And you might get away being the backside inside linebacker and not fitting something right on an inside zone play. Versus triple option, it's not going to be quite the same thing. And same thing on the back end as well. If your eyes are not right on the back end, that can turn into an explosive play pretty doggone quick. So I think what you gain going against an option team, I don't know if there's a defensive coordinator in the country that would be more jealous of the position that I'm in here. We get to go against a physical offense at the line of scrimmage on the perimeter, and we've got to play with extreme detail and focus every day. I think I got the best job in America, brother.
Obviously, with you getting promoted, that leaves a position to be backfilled. Have you looked at any other candidates yet? Have you talked to anyone about who's going to take over for your old job?
Obviously, all the staffing stuff's going to go through Coach Newberry. I'm going to continue to coach the linebackers. That's something that I'm passionate about, and I really believe I can call the defense on Saturday afternoons, prepare us throughout the week, and coach those linebackers the way that they need to be coached to execute the game plan, as well as the other 9 positions on the field. All the staffing stuff, that's obviously going to go through New. I've got extreme trust with him in terms of doing that, and I think the biggest thing for us as new staff members come in, it's got to be guys that we absolutely trust and believe add value to our program. It's an opportunity for us to improve and get better, and that's how we're looking at it.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Scott Wyckoff, WBAL.
Yeah, Coach, what does it mean for you to get your first defensive coordinator job in hand with Coach Newberry being the head coach?
Scott, I appreciate the question. I was out of work 6 years ago when I met Brian Newberry. And my wife had just had our second kid, was going through a tough situation. And I met Coach New. He took me in with open arms, taught me taught me his defense, taught me what he knew, and really haven't looked back ever since. I am extremely grateful and flattered that he considered me and hired me for this position. He's one of my best friends in the world. I told him I'd follow him to the moon and back, or wherever and back. I am extremely grateful for this opportunity. I love the fact that I've got a guy that I love, trust, and respect right down the hall that I can bounce ideas off of. I think we're in line in terms of how we feel we need to play defense here to be successful. It means the world to me. Just to sum it all up, if you want one quote, it means the world to me.
What do you like best about this defense that he taught you that now you're going to be able to put your own name on?
Aggression, violence. We're going to get after people. I just love that we've got a lot of different ways to attack people, that we're extremely dynamic in what we do. We're simple for us, but complicated for everybody else. It looks like a lot of control. It looks like chaos out there to the naked eye, but for us, it's just elegant violence, man. We're getting after it. And I think all 11 positions on the field have a chance to be extremely productive for us. So it's a fun defense to play in. It's a great defense to be able to recruit to. We bring the best and the brightest in from all across the country, and then they see it on film and like, shoot, why do I not want to play for those guys? Why do I not want to play in that scheme? Because I'm going to have an opportunity to make some big time plays on Saturday afternoons.
And finally, you've coached at a lot of different places, a lot of different student athletes. What has stood out to you about the defensive players that you've coached at the Naval Academy?
That's an awesome question. I appreciate that one, Scott. When you coach football, your favorite time of the day is getting on the grass. I mean, it just is what it is. Like, you cannot wait to get out there on the grass and coach your guys up every day and see them execute and see them have success and see them build confidence in themselves and their teammates. Here, that 50 minutes a day that we get with the guys from 12:25 in terms of our meetings, is really, really close. The caliber of young men that we have here make a huge impact on your life. And to feel like you have a little bit of impact on their life and who they are and who they continue to become, it's monumental. So being here in 2019, I've had all the guys that have graduated that have played linebacker for me have reached back out to me. And I cannot tell you the amount of joy and emotion that brings me, because I know those guys are doing big things and protecting our country, doing a lot of things that I didn't do when I was that age, and I am extremely grateful for them. But to have them reach out means the world to me. And this place is special. It's unique. It's unlike anywhere else. And I told you before, I got the best job in the country, and I'm extremely excited about it.
Thanks a lot, Coach.
Thanks, Scott.
Let's go to Bill Wagner, Baltimore Sun Media Group.
So PJ, can you talk about the pressure you're under? I mean, Brian Newberry obviously received rave reviews for his performance as defensive coordinator at Navy and at Kennesaw State. The job he did at Kennesaw got him a job at Navy. The job he did at Navy got him the head coaching job. Can you talk about the pressure of trying to follow in his footsteps?
Well, I think one of the wonderful things here, Bill, is I've got him right down the hall. He's going to be involved with everything that we do. It's obviously something that's going to have his handprints on, and I wouldn't want it any other way. You know me. I think anybody that knows me knows that nobody can put more pressure on me than myself. I'm going to take this ball and I'm going to run with it, brother. And we're going to continue to build on the dominant defense that we've had here. And it's going to be something that the Navy football family and the community, the brotherhood, everyone's going to be proud of.
Do you feel like Coach New is going to give you a long leash to be able to do some stuff that maybe you like to do that maybe he necessarily did not?
Well, I think it's going to be a collaborative effort with everybody that's in the room. I don't think it's going to be a one-man show by any stretch of the imagination. I think we talk about here, there's power in counsel. We're going to build a phenomenal staff here that's going to have great minds, and we're going to take advantage of all 11 guys that we have on the field. And I think one of the things that I learned from Brian Newberry is day one install isn't just dusting off the day one install from the year before. It's what can our guys do well? How can we maximize who they are, their abilities? And to me, that's the beauty and essence of coaching, is being able to look at the guys that you have on the roster and be able to put them in positions that they can be successful and get done what you need to get done out there. And I know we're going to put a staff together that we're going to be able to do that on an extremely high level here.
So obviously Brian had given up coaching a position last year so he could, have more, be able to look at the big picture. I find it interesting that you're going to continue coaching a position. Why is that?
I just, that's what I'm comfortable doing. I want to have my hands with those guys. They control a lot of the things that go out there. I think it will make the transition easier for me. And I think that I bring a level of expertise there that will help those guys continue to grow right now. My wife joked, like, all of them texted me like, if I was going to continue to coach linebackers, I was all excited about that. And she's like, well, maybe they're asking in a little different tone. It's hard to decide that on text. So no, I'm excited about it. Those guys are special to me. And I told them all, the reason I'm in this position is because of the way that they prepared, the way that their work ethic that they have, the way they went out and executed the game plan since they've been here. So I am not remiss in saying that I've been elevated to this position because of the way that the linebackers have gone about their business.
Pete Medhurst, Navy Radio Network and Sports Talk 980 in Washington, D.C.
Thanks, Scott. PJ, just to follow up on that part right there, the enjoyment that you get out of instructing and seeing the results that you got out of them, because there were huge question marks, obviously, with Diego leaving, and yet you guys had 4 guys minimum that all stepped in, played starter level snaps, and gave you starter level results. Just overall, from the teaching standpoint, is that something that you just didn't want to get away from, just because you're seeing great results out of a position that was so key to this defense's overall success last year?
That's a great question. And hey, Pete, I appreciate it. I love the development process, period, especially here at the Naval Academy. And we're always going to be a developmental program, and to get guys in here and see them continue to grow and move forward. I don't know if there's anything more rewarding as a coach, is to see a guy come in, not really have any basis of knowledge of what you're going to do or how you're going to do it, and just to see him continue to grow and grow and grow and grow. I don't think there's anything more rewarding on a personal level to see a young man be able to do that and then go out there on Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening or whenever it is and have success. And I pride myself on that. I think our entire staff prides ourselves on those things. And yeah, it's something that is near and dear to my heart.
Overall, we've seen success here in the past. There seems to be a synergy in this case now between head coach, coordinator, head coach, and some position coaches. There seems to be, just based on listening to you so far, obviously listening to Brian's introductory press conference, there seems to be a synergy there with you two. What is it about that relationship? What he's looking to do defensively, obviously some of the things that you're looking to do defensively, that leads to that type of synergy that seems to be in place between you two?
I always think that communication really leads to development in relationships. And I think you guys I'm really excited for Coach Newberry to step into the role that he is in. I told Wags when he interviewed me a few days ago when everything dropped about New, I'm really excited about just everybody getting to know Brian Newberry the way that I know him, and how authentic he is, how great a person he is. I've learned a ton about leadership from him, and just the way that he's able to coach his coaches, the way that he's able to put us in position to be successful with our players as well, to take ideas from other people in the room, use them or not use them, but do it in a very judicious manner. But I've always, from day one, when I walked in there and met with him, been able to communicate with him on a very, very high level. And I think that's really helped our friendship blossom over the last 6 years. But I'm really excited for him. I'm obviously excited for myself. But I just think what he's going to bring to this program, to Annapolis, to the Navy football family, everyone's going to love him and the work that he does and who he is.
Final one for me, just how exciting is it to now have this responsibility, but look at that whiteboard and see the names that are still on that board that will be returning on this defense as you get to now try and craft a plan to make those guys even better.
Yeah, for lack of a better term, I'm jacked. I'm really excited about bringing guys back. I'm walking into a phenomenal situation where a lot of the defense, the terminology, all those things are in. It's our job to take the ball and run with it and continue to get better and improve. And there's things that we have to do to improve and play better defense here. We've played good defense here. We can get better. We will get better. And we're going to have a group of coaches and players that have been in those battles before and are going to continue to pour into each other so we get the best results on game day. But yeah, for lack of a better term, I'm jacked.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Pete.
All right, we'll make another trip around. Let's go 2 questions each this time. Back to Mike James at rivals.com in the mid report.
So you had mentioned recruiting earlier. I'm just wondering what your message to recruits has been through this transition period.
Yeah, it's very similar to basically what Coach Newberry had said when you guys interviewed him, was that the core values of the program have not changed. We are still going to develop men of character and leadership, and really how recruiting has gone. That's always been at the forefront. I don't think guys make the decision to come to the United States Naval Academy based solely on the coaching staff. There's a lot that goes into that decision for young men and their families. It's obviously a piece of it. So that's been the main message. And then defensively, obviously it's been a little easier at this point than the offensive side in terms of talking about what the vision, what it's going to look like. Obviously the offensive stuff, we defer that to Coach Newberry and what his vision is offensively. Defensively, it's going to be the similar type thing. Our style of football is not going to change. We're going to play smart. We're going to play fast. We're going to play violent, and we're going to play together. We're going to play an aggressive style of defense that's going to put people on their heels, that they are not, when an opposing offensive coordinator or quarterback turns on the film on Sunday afternoon, they're not going to want to play against us. We want to be a nightmare to prepare for. And we want them to feel like at any time that there's guys coming from all over the field that are going to put pressure on them. And we're going to consistently put pressure on them every single play in every single manner that we can.
You mentioned just about, kind of along those lines, how important is versatility in recruiting when you look at it, when you're evaluating a player? Because you have a defense where you have, John Marshall's kind of that hybrid linebacker defensive back. He led the team in sacks. And meanwhile, you have a guy who's nicknamed Biscuit is making plays in pass coverage. So I'm just wondering, is that kind of versatility, how important is that when you're evaluating guys?
I think it's monumental, to be honest with you. I learned that very early in my coaching career when I got to the Division I level. The more a guy can do on film, and the more he can do on the field, the more you can do in terms of schematically with him. And I think we've got a lot of really good football players around here. We talk about defensively. We want to take a backyard football first round draft picks. Like, we want those guys on our team. The guys that when you're going out into the backyard playing, like, you want that dude on your team. That's the guys that we want on our team. So you see Biscuit running downfield, getting a PBU. I mean, those are the things that make us unique and special. Guys talk about that stuff on the board all the time. Hey, we're going to have the nose guard stick the running back here. And then it doesn't happen. You know, for us, obviously, we're able to do that. Now, we're not going to make a living on that. Don't get me wrong. But I just think when you build a roster, and I'm obsessed with roster management and the depth chart and things like that, when you build a roster and you can fill holes by moving people, this is not the NFL where you can go out and sign a free agent. We do not have that ability. The transfer portal is a one-way street here. You know, we're not going to go out and get quick fixes, but when we see a guy on film that's playing running back, playing nose guard, playing outside linebacker, punting the football, maybe being a punt returner or a kick returner, like our antennas go up on that young man. And we see somebody that we can fit into different spots, not just defensively, but that could go over into the offensive side, and then obviously be able to help special teams wise as well. So when you have holes on your football team, you have to be able to fill them internally. And that's what we're going to look to continue to do here.
Thanks, PJ.
Thanks, Mike.
Scott Wyckoff.
PJ, what impressed you the most this season about the development of Colin at linebacker?
That dude is he may be the toughest guy I've ever coached. He is, I think last year he was on scout team. So I'm just going to brag on Colin Ramos right now. So you gave me the opportunity. I'm going to go ahead and do it. So last year he's on scout team, and we had a few freshmen that came up ahead of him. And as you get to know Colin Ramos, or if you know Colin Ramos, he is a competitor. And he did not like that. He did not like somebody in his class coming up before him. He called, we talked about what he needed to work on, what he needed to do. He did those things, and he got his opportunity I mean, he's probably 205 pounds as a freshman, and his first real game reps defensively, he's starting a game in the Eagles Stadium against Temple. And his second start is the Army-Navy game in the Jets and Giants Stadium. So to see the development from a guy that started the year on scout team, never got discouraged, never got disgruntled. He's just tough, and he just goes to work. He's just a gritty dude in terms of how he goes about his business. I think his knowledge of the defense at that point was probably not maybe what it needed to be had he been up the entire year. But he worked his tail off to know what he needed to know to be able to obviously start 2 games. And then he had a ton of growth in the offseason in terms of his knowledge of the playbook. He didn't start the first game either now. And he just continued to battle all year long. And it got to the point where you really couldn't take him off the field. He was our best linebacker out there, most productive, flying around the field. He loves the one-on-one matchups on the field. I think he's got a little chip on his shoulder of everybody telling him he's got to gain weight. He's got to do those things. There's just a lot of things that you can love about Colin Ramos. But I think if you grabbed anybody in the locker room and talked to them and said, "Hey, Colin Ramos, what do you think? Give me one word to describe Colin Ramos," you'd say his toughness. He is one tough dude.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Scott.
Wags.
So obviously what made Brian Newberry a good defensive coordinator, and what any good defensive coordinator really, is play calling, the ability to have a feel for the game, anticipate, thinking 2 steps ahead. I mean, can you talk about the challenge of that? I mean, that's, you're going to be up in the box calling plays for the first time. And, that's the key to being a defensive coordinator, knowing how to kind of roll the dice.
Sure. Obviously, I'm really looking forward to that aspect of it. Coach New and we actually were talking about that last night. I think that's something that obviously is critical in success. And I think it's putting myself in those situations in practice, continuing to do that. We've talked about different ways of being able to do that. And I know he's going to structure practice to be able to do that as well. I think when we first got here in 2019, we did a really nice job of doing that in spring and fall camp with Coach Newberry at that position. I know he's going to put us in those types of situations and things like that in practice, that it's not just for the players, but it's us as a coaching staff as well. Obviously, film study on my end. Wags, I'll be honest with you, I've watched film in my own manner for 18 years now, with the thought process that at some point this could happen, whether it be in the middle of a game, before a game started, at the end of the game, just being prepared whenever that opportunity would come. And it's something that I relish. I'm excited about. I can't wait to do. And I'm really, really looking forward to it.
And you'd mentioned that you were out of work when you first got hired by Coach Newberry at Kennesaw State. How did that evolve? How did you end up with Coach New at Kennesaw?
That's a good question. So I'll just I was out of work. We got let go at Georgia State with 2 games to go. I had met Andrew Thacker, who's now the defensive coordinator at Georgia Tech. He was actually the linebacker coach at Kennesaw State at the time. I had met him working camps. You know, Georgia State and Kennesaw State are only about 20 minutes away or so. So we worked a lot of camps, we exchanged ideas. We talked a lot just about scheme, development of players, everything, recruiting. We talked a lot about that. I ran into him at the convention when Jeff Collins took the Temple job. He was like, he's very good friends with Jeff Collins, and he grabbed me, and it just, Wags, it was sort of luck of the draw. I hadn't seen Andrew Thacker in a while. He grabbed me and he said, "Hey, I know you're out. I'm leaving to go to Temple as the linebackers coach, and you would love working at Kennesaw State with Brian Bohannon and Brian Newberry." So I just sort of worked the channels that I knew to get an opportunity to get there. Came in on a Sunday, met with New, just absolutely loved what they were doing defensively, his style, how innovative and creative he was. Thought it was a spot that I could continue to develop as a coach and learn from. And that relationship just sort of blossomed from there. I know that's a long story. Sorry about that, but there's a, it's just sort of how it works in this profession.
Pete, Matt Hurst.
PJ, just to go back to a guy like John for a moment, is it getting harder and harder in recruiting to find the dual athlete that's willing to go find results on the defensive side of the football that are favorable for him, as we're in a society that glamorizes offense so much, yet here's a guy that was catching passes from Caleb Williams in high school and turned into one heck of a defensive player?
You know, I don't think so. I just think there's so many guys that are out there that love playing football and love being on the defensive side of the ball and love that aggression and contact. And I mean, high school coaches aren't crazy either. Now they're working their tails off to win football games, so they're going to put the ball in their best players' hands. I don't think we're ignorant to that as coaches at all. So we're looking and turning over every rock that we possibly can find on the recruiting front to find the guys. We call them OKGs. They're our kind of guys. They're guys that are smart. They're guys that tough. They're guys that love football. And that's what we're looking for. And shoot, we've got guys that have played running back. We've got guys that have played receiver. We've got guys that have played quarterback. I mean, you got to look at all different positions to bring in the best guys that you can possibly bring in to build your depth and your roster around, Pete.
Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you.
All right, we've got about 7 minutes left. If anyone else has another question, Mike James,
I'm good. Thanks.
Scott Wyckoff,
I'm all set. Thank you.
Wags.
One last question. So there is an opening on the defensive side of the ball, and at present, there's position coaches at every position. So do you think that it'll just be a general, just defensive assistant, not with a particular position?
Wags, I'll have to refer all the staff stuff to Coach Newberry right now. I know he's working diligently on that. I trust that he's going to, and I know he's going to put people in positions that they can be successful at. And he's looking anywhere and everywhere to be able to do that.
All right. Thanks, Pete.
Thanks, Wags.
And Pete.
Coach, real quick, just, obviously this is a dead period. You can't call anybody, but everybody's going to see this. What does the P.J. Volker defensive player look like in your mind that you're going to want to recruit here now in the future to come play defense for you?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that. And I think it sort of goes back to what we were talking about, recruiting OKGs. Those are guys that are smart. They're guys that are tough, and they're guys that love football. And they're going to come in different shapes and sizes. Obviously, we always want longer. You always want faster. You always want stronger. But we want to recruit guys to come in here that love the Naval Academy. They love the football family that we have here. They're hungry to continue to improve and reach their full potential in all facets of their life. And then when we walk between the 53 and the third and the 120, we're playing our brand of football. We're playing smart. We're playing fast. We're playing violent, and we're playing together. And we are going to be an aggressive bunch. We're not looking for guys that are looking to make excuses or anything like that. We're looking for guys that are going to pull the thumb. They're going to take ownership, and they're going to play a physical brand of football that looks to break the opponent's will. That's what we're looking for.
That it, Pete?
No, I had to unmute myself because my dog was squeaking the toy. Defenses, because of the nature of the way offenses continue to evolve, spreading people out, athletes all over the place. In your case, you guys as a staff, did you all take the tack that, you know what, we can sit back and let these teams go up and down the field and try to hold them to field goals, but at some point you almost had to flip the switch and say, we got to go be aggressive and put the pressure on them. It almost seems as if you all have taken that tack to go be aggressive against these style of offenses, where in some cases, a lot of defenses have just kind of sat back and hoped almost that offense made the mistake. Just talk about how defenses had to evolve based on the style of offenses we're seeing all now throughout college football, and that even you see over the course of the schedule you all play.
Yeah, I think offenses want to dictate the pace of play, and too many times defenses allow them to be able to do those things. And I think it's just having that mindset that we're going to be on the balls of our feet, and we're going to be playing downhill, and we're going to put them on their heels is a major piece of that. And I always think with New was a quarterback. So he has the ability to sort of see the game in that manner, having played that position in high school and understand those things. I coached on the offensive side of the ball early in my career, and when we were doing game planning, I'll be honest with you, it was a lot easier when you knew exactly where people were going to be and what they were going to be doing. And then we turn on, film the next week, and there was a team that was stemming and moving and blitzing and slanting and still, not being reckless. They're being calculated with how they're doing. I think there's a beauty in that. But those were the weeks when I was on offense that, you're like, oh, okay, we got our work cut out for us here. So I think how we build this defense is based around that. We want to make people have to earn everything and not just be able to give them a few yards here, a few yards there. We want to be extremely disruptive. We want to make plays in the backfield. We want to put them behind the chains. We want to put them in situations where they're not on schedule, where they don't feel comfortable in terms of creating first downs. Coach is going to send us out there with one job, and that's to get the ball back. And we're going to excel at putting them in situations where they're not comfortable, where their play call sheet strengths, and we're going to attack the football and take the ball away as well. And that's something that we obviously have to continue to do at a high level, and I think we can improve at here defensively.